Well, greetings, welcome, blessings to you. So nice to see you all again. Saw many of you on retreat just a couple of days ago, and so nice to be back with you here, the comforts of our home. So, as far as announcements, I will be announcing an online retreat sometime soon, but I do have one thing to announce that at the end of March and the beginning of April this coming year, we'll be at the Shivananda Ashram in the Bahamas. And so there's details on my website about that. It'll be a symposium, so a series of talks on spiritual awakening. And so you can put that on your calendar, check that out. Okay. So a big welcome to some new faces in the room, and I'll just let you know what we're going to do. I'll offer a short teaching and a meditation, and then we will have 30 minutes of silent sharing. And after that, we'll do questions 1 hour from now. Yes. So with Kundalini, the primary complaint I hear from individuals is that I have all this energy in my body and I don't know what to do with this energy. And it tends to create a sense of pressure or anxiety in the body because the body doesn't understand it, doesn't know what it is. And our body tends to unconsciously resist and fight with this experience of spiritual awakening. And it's very important that we remind ourselves this. I am waking up. And that means my mind, or different aspects of my mind and my egoic identity, well, they are going to dissolve. They are being dissolved. There's pressure on them to release and to surrender the points of view, the perspectives that are untrue, that are false, that are limiting. So with Kundalini Shakti is a force of creation which is unlimited. And when we take an unlimited force and it begins to awaken and live through a limited vessel, that's our human body, there's probably going to be some trouble there. There's probably going to be some trouble. And so we have to really look at our body from a place of compassion and ask our body, well, what do you need? How can I help you to truly relax and to truly trust? Because when the body is relaxed and open, the energy will just flow unencumbered and there's no trouble. But when that same beautiful divine energy, which creates everything you see in this world, it's a massive thing. But when this same huge energy, it runs into a psychological program, a force that says you should not be here, well, we're going to have a fight. We're going to have a fight. And throughout my life, for one reason or another, I've incarnated into a way where God has used me to be literally a peacemaker. And so there's lots of times in life where I've come into contact with two people fighting. Sometimes one of those persons is wanting to fight me, and my question has always been, well, how do I diffuse? How do I de-escalate this situation? And I've because I've had so much practice with it, I've become quite skilled at it. How to calm people down, how to diffuse situations. And of course, like when my body was so agitated and fearful in response to the Kundalini, I had to really spend a lot of time defusing, de-escalating the thoughts and the stories of my mind. Because I knew, like, God is here, God is in this room, God is awakening in this temple, this body of mine. Like God's will prevail. Craig's will needs to dissolve. So there's just this basic sense on the spiritual path that I need to get out of the way and let God triumph within this one. But we can say get out of the way, but for most of us, it's not that easy. In order for our body, our overstimulated nervous system to get out of the way, it has to calm, it has to soothe, it has to be connected to peace. And so I'm going to invite us all to close our eyes if we haven't already. And I invite you just to notice right now, as we come into the space of our thinking mind, what are the thoughts? What are the basic orientations that this mind of mind has? Is it oriented towards fear or towards control, toward efforting or striving, pushing through or pushing against? And whatever these basic, primal, egoic intelligences that you see, I'm going to invite us to take a deep, full breath and to really soften, our attachment to our mind, our identification with our mind. I invite you to see that there is a witness here who can notice the programs of resistance. And I invite you to notice, how aligned are you? Do you believe yourself to be the resistant one? And if that's you, I invite you to take a big backward step, allowing there to be lots of space between who and what you are, which is this awake, aware presence. And those limiting beliefs, those limiting thoughts of resistance that create some space between you and the one who is resistant, the one who says, this shouldn't be here, this is too much, I can't handle this is killing me, whatever those thoughts are. Let's initially begin today by creating a sense of space. Stepping back into that which is awake, that which is aware. And I invite you to see right away that the presence, which is awake and aware, is spacious. Your presence is spacious. This is a different orientation than I can't handle this. That's the orientation of the nervous system, but we're stepping back into this quiet space, which is simply awake and aware, which simply hears the sound of my voice. It may feel things, it may witness thoughts, but we're coming to wake up and recognize I am not my thoughts, I am not my feelings. I am the space in which everything can flow. where there's room for everything, including this immense Shakti, which is awoken in each of you. And so as we continue to breathe and feel, I invite you to feel down into the heart chakra, the emotional center. And again, often in the emotional center, like right on the surface, there can live a childlike self. And that might be controlling or gripping, or fighting against, or grasping after. And again, we're seeing this from the witness and seeing that there is space. There's room for all these emotions. We are not the emotion. The emotion arises in us. We are not the thought. The thought arises in us. And as we open more fully, I invite you to come to recognize that your heart, when you look at the depth of your heart, not the surface, but the depth, come to recognize the depth of your heart is innately good. It's whole. It's radiating a compassionate sense of love. And so as we begin to breathe and to feel and to soften, taking the backward step out of identification with the mind, taking the backward step out of identification with the emotional nature, I invite us to turn awareness upon itself. We're becoming aware of that which is aware. And as you do so, we come to recognize that your nature is peace, is space, is emptiness. Your nature is love, is light, is compassion. And more as we recognize this in a felt way, an experiential way, we naturally begin to soften that grip, the tension throughout the body. When you know you are good, when you know you are love, when you know you are space, there's no real reason to grip, to resist, to control, whether it's in the jaw or in the cheeks, a common place where we tense. Sometimes behind the eyes, if we're really thinking and trying to figure. We take the backward step, softening behind the eyes and the jaw, softening in the surface of the chest. Softening in the solar plexus and the ribs. Sometimes there's a tremendous amount of will and fight within us. And as we get into the lower chakra centers, for many of us, these centers are just fully unconscious. Gripping, fighting, asserting. And so with each and every breath, we're softening and opening with love to love. We're opening to space. with space. And so softening more fully in the solar plexus and in the hara. Hara is the lower abdomen. And so softening here. Sometimes in the hara, there can be whole realms of just great fear. And sometimes it's even projected fear, like a fear of death or fear of something overwhelming coming forward in the future. Sometimes it's a repetition of the past. But as yogis, as Buddhas, as goddesses, we're choosing to breathe, to feel, to soften, to open. All the way down, really softening in the hara. And again, there can be a lot of energy there for some folks. And I invite you just to imagine the solar plexus, a big door opening, the hara, a big door opening, and the root, a big door opening. And so taking a deep, full belly breath as we breathe in. And really allowing this Kundalini Shakti, which has been so bound up and so controlled in the body, letting it to flow, letting it unravel, unwind. And I invite you just to play a little bit. As you feel into your body, I invite you not to be like a Zen monk, super still and controlled. I invite you just to allow the body just to kind of sway a little bit, from right to left, just gently swaying. And we're doing this almost like in a soothing way. And just like rocking back and forth just a little bit, just ever so subtly. And I invite you, especially those new, to allowing the kriyas to flow and allowing energy to dance, just to allow the body to dance. Ever so subtly, just swaying a little. The spine might, again, just have a little, very subtle movement in it, almost like a snake that's going about the earth. And just a very subtle rhythmic dance. And you may know, for those of you new to this, you may notice energy coming forward, and some of you may say, oh, it feels like I'm being possessed, or it feels a little bit out of control. But again, we're just giving it a little sway, a little movement of the spine, and letting the head, and the neck join in. The same way if we're in a yoga class, we might do cat cow, though this is kind of a left right, cat cow. Just letting the spine, flow like a snake. And trusting, really trusting that it is safe to be open, and just to allow this energy to dance, to sway. And if you notice, like as we do this, just by giving the body just subtle permission to move a little bit, you might notice the energy, the Shakti feeling more fluid. The chakra centers with any of that old kind of egoic intelligence of I need to control and I resist. What the swaying will do is it kind of breaks up some of the rigidity of the egoic structure. And the egoic structure, it really has a primal force of repression that it puts on, well, just on your ego, on your humanity, on your expression, on anything unknown. The ego wants to repress that. But, this may feel a little strange. It may feel a little bit bizarre, but a big part of waking up is being willing to walk into the unknown. Being able to walk into the unknown, being willing and open to experiencing new realms of consciousness, new realms of divinity. And I invite you just to notice, just through this gentle swaying, how there's a sweetness in the body, a sweetness in the energy field. And of course, the Kundalini is very happy. The more relaxed, the more loose you are, the more willing you are to let the body dance and to let the body be moved by grace, to be moved by light. But if we're fully rigid in our body, the Kundalini gets frustrated because it's not able to flow. And then our psyche gets frustrated, trying to control the frustration of Kundalini. And then we have two frustrated ones within us. And again, it just creates an enormous amount of suffering. But in this moment, I invite us all to take a deep, full breath. And on the exhale, just seeing this Shakti kind of weaving around the spine, flowing all the way up to the crown of the head, and then gently flowing down. And so we can have a little fun with this. We can just play with the imagery, and we don't need to get it perfect, but I invite you just to see the Shakti beginning to flow up, the bottoms of your feet, flowing up and coming into the pelvic floor and beginning to flow up the right side, up along the root, and then flowing on the left side of the hara, and flowing on the right side of the solar plexus, the left side of the heart, the right side of the throat chakra, the left side of the third eye, the right side of the crown, and then going up and exploding open into heaven, and then flowing down the left side of the crown, the right side of the third eye, left side of the heart. Excuse me, the left side of the throat chakra, the right side of the heart, left side of the solar plexus, the right side, the hara, left side of the root. And again, just letting it flow. And it's okay if you don't get the right and the left side is just right. It's just energy. And we're letting it flow up on one side and then the other, and then the other, flowing all the way up. And then again, like weaving down the corresponding side. And just having a little bit of fun with this energy flowing and letting the body move, letting it kind of dance with it a little bit. And just having a sense that you are dancing with grace, that you are dancing with Kundalini Shakti. And the more we open, we let it flow, and we're merging with this light. We're gently directing it, but not forcefully. It's very loosely. Letting it flow, letting it weave in and out of the chakra centers. And I want you just to notice, simply to notice what it's like as we give Shakti permission to flow. We start to feel more spaciousness, more emptiness, sense of radiance, sense of freedom. We might feel a little bit transcendent. The mind is really empty. Might be little bits of emotion or little bits of karma that kind of get kicked loose. It could even be little bits of tears or surrender. And again, for those of you who are new to this, I want you just to play with letting the body flow, letting it dance. And at any point, if it gets a little too wild, or if the head starts really shaking back and forth, that's a common one. Again, we just take some deep breaths and we see the energy flowing directly up the spine, right through the central channel, the Sushumna, just letting it flow right through the center, right through the center. But for most of us, when the Kundalini flows, when it first awakens, it's not beautiful and serene. When it first awakens, it can be quite wild because our chakras are so dense and full of old trauma or pain or conditioning or limitation. And the Kundalini needs to be wild for a period, kind of kicking off, clearing out, bringing forth things that have been repressed in order for them to be seen, in order for them to be met with love. And so again, we're breathing, we're feeling, we're softening, and we trust that love is the way, that openness is the way. We're trusting this primal movement of the Shakti, giving it permission to flow, to dance, to explode open with joy and exuberance throughout the body, throughout the nervous system. And for many of us, we will be teaching our body a new way to be, where we're open, we're fluid, we're relaxed. We go with the flow of light, this flow of divinity. And so again, let us take a deep, full breath. Again, gently guiding that Kundalini Shakti up through the root, through the hara, the solar plexus, the heart, going down the shoulders, the arms, the hands, the fingertips. And again, with another inhale, that Shakti flowing up through the root, through the hara, the solar plexus, through the heart, up through the throat chakra, clearing out any congestion, going up through the third eye, flooding all that spaciousness with light, flowing out the top of the head and then raining down all around us. And so as we end our meditation, just inviting this grace to continue to flow through us, inviting the body to continue to be open, and calling upon the grace of God to continue to support us on this most wild path of spiritual awakening. Oh, Lord Shiva, Lord of Yoga, We call upon you, Great One, to lead us, to guide us, to soften us. Help us receive this Shakti, that we may live as radiant beings of light here upon planet Earth. And so we can gently open our eyes. Yeah, so beautiful to be with you. And